Welcome back to Obsessed with Leo. Today we are embarking on a profound exploration into the spiritual architecture of the Leo archetype. If you have been drawn to this message, it is likely because you are feeling a profound, perhaps even unsettling, shift in the tectonic plates of your reality. People are leaving, connections are dissolving, alliances that once felt foundational are crumbling into dust. To the uninitiated, this looks like loss, it feels like isolation. But when we view this through the lens of esoteric astrology and karmic law, a vastly different narrative emerges. The universe is not punishing you, Leo. It is executing a cosmic severance. It is actively, deliberately removing certain energies, individuals, and attachments from your orbit. Why? To protect your crown. In this session, we will journey deep into the esoteric meaning of this removal, peeling back the layers of your astrological DNA to understand the metaphysical mechanics at play. Let us step into the sanctuary of the sun, the architecture of the crown. To understand why the universe is intervening so forcefully in your social and emotional spheres, we must first decode what the crown truly signifies for a Leo. In popular astrology, Leo is often reduced to mere ego, pride, or a desire for the spotlight. This is a tragic oversimplification. In ancient Hermetic traditions, Leo is ruled by the sun, the center of our cosmic neighborhood. The sun does not seek attention, it radiates life. It provides the gravitational anchor that keeps the entire solar system from flying into the chaotic abyss. Therefore, your crown is not a symbol of vanity. It is the mantle of your spiritual sovereignty. It is the alignment between your conscious ego and your higher self. In Kabbalistic philosophy, the highest point on the tree of life is Kether, which translates directly to the crown. It represents the pure, undiluted will of the divine before it is shaped into physical form. Similarly, in Eastern yogic traditions, the crown chakra, Sahasrara, is the portal to universal consciousness. For you, Leo, wearing the crown means carrying the heavy, beautiful burden of living your authentic dharma, your life's ultimate purpose. When you are in your sovereign energy, you emit a frequency that heals, warms, and guides others. But this light is incredibly potent, and it is also highly coveted. The throne is not a place of rest. It is a point of absolute spiritual gravity. To sit upon it requires a purity of environment, for the sovereign cannot lead while poisoned by the court. The psychology of the solar eclipse. Why then is the universe stepping in right now? Because, dear Leo, your blind spot is your own immense heart. Carl Jung spoke of the shadow, the unconscious repressed aspects of our personality. The shadow of the Leo archetype is often born from a noble place, a desperate, overarching loyalty, and a naive belief that everyone possesses the same honorable intentions that you do. You are governed by the heart. The astrological ruler of the physical heart in medical astrology is Leo. Because your heart is an open furnace, you often fail to recognize when people are throwing toxic materials into your fire just to keep themselves warm. And you attract certain archetypal thieves. The energy vampires, those who feed on your vitality, constantly demanding your light but offering only shadows in return. The envious courtiers, individuals who flatter you to your face but secretly resent your natural authority and radiance. The karmic anchors, people bound to your past trauma who subconsciously or consciously pull you back into outdated versions of yourself so they do not have to face their own lack of growth. When these energies surround you, a solar eclipse occurs in your life. Your light is blocked. Your gravitational pull is distorted. You begin to doubt your intuition, your creativity stifles, and your physical vitality wanes. Like you might find yourself compromising your boundaries just to keep the peace in your kingdom. The mechanics of cosmic severance. The universe operates on the principle of vibrational resonance. When you begin to step into the next phase of your spiritual evolution, when you are preparing to truly put on the crown, your frequency rises. However, if you are tethered to individuals who refuse to elevate their own frequency, a metaphysical friction is created. The universe recognizes that your human ego is often too compassionate, too loyal, or too habituated to cut these cords yourself. Therefore, destiny intervenes. This intervention can manifest in startling ways. Sudden, inexplicable betrayals that force you to see a person's true colors. Logistical separations where people physically move away or circumstances tear you apart. Arguments or misunderstandings that seem disproportionate to the event, creating a permanent rift. While the human experience of this is grief, the spiritual reality is an emergency extraction. The universe is stripping away the parasites from the root of your tree so that your energy can flow entirely upward into the blossoming of your purpose. Have you noticed how, after the initial shock of a recent departure in your life, there was a strange, quiet sense of relief, a sudden clearing of the mental fog? This is the immediate physical proof of a cosmic clearing, the alchemy of betrayal, and the mythos of the sovereign welcome back to the deeper currents of our exploration. In the first phase of our study, we examined the mechanics of the cosmic severance, the sudden, sometimes violent extraction of toxic elements from your life, orchestrated by the universe to protect your spiritual sovereignty. But understanding the why does not immediately soothe the sting of the how. When the universe removes these karmic anchors, it rarely happens quietly. It often arrives wrapped in the bitter garments of betrayal, abandonment, or sudden disillusionment. To understand this phase of your evolution, we must look backward into the annals of myth and history, for the archetype of the betrayed sovereign is as old as human consciousness itself. Consider the legend of King Arthur and the fall of Camelot. Arthur, much like the highly evolved Leo, built his kingdom on the ideals of equality, honor, and profound trust, represented by the Round Table. His fatal flaw was not malice, but a blinding, almost naive faith in the absolute loyalty of those he loved most, Lancelot and Guinevere. Arthur's heart, functioning as the radiant center of Camelot, refused to see the shadows gathering in his own court until the kingdom itself fractured. This mythological motif repeats across cultures because it speaks to a universal psychological truth about the Leo archetype. Your greatest vulnerability is your projection of your own nobility onto others. You assume others possess the same internal moral compass, the same fierce loyalty, the same generosity of spirit. When they do not, the disillusionment is not just a personal heartbreak, it is a collapse of your worldview. But esoteric wisdom teaches us that this betrayal is an alchemical necessity. In alchemy, the process of calcination requires intense heat to burn away impurities, in leaving only the essential, indestructible core of the substance. The departures you are experiencing are the fire of calcination. The universe is forcing you to see reality not as you wish it to be, but as it truly is. This is the death of your naivety and the birth of your discernment. Entering the void, the architecture of liminal space. Once the severance is complete, what remains? The immediate aftermath of this cosmic purge is often characterized by a profound, echoing emptiness. This is the void. In our modern, hyper-connected world, we are taught to fear the void. We are conditioned to immediately fill empty spaces with noise, new relationships, or distractions. But as an astrological researcher, I must urge you to view this emptiness through the lens of ancient Eastern philosophies, such as Taoism. In the Tao Te Ching, Lao Tzu emphasizes the utility of emptiness. It is the empty space within the bowl that makes it useful. It is the empty space in a room that makes it habitable. For Leo, the void is the sacred, liminal space between who you were and who you are becoming. It is the womb of creation. When your orbit is suddenly cleared of energy vampires, sycophants, and karmic deadweights, the immediate silence can feel deafening. You might question your own worth. You might ask, if my light is so warm, why is my throne room suddenly so empty? This is a critical test of your sovereignty. A false king needs a court to feel powerful. A true sovereign finds power in their own presence. The universe has cleared your realm so that you can hear your own thoughts without the static of other people's projections. Or it is giving you back the energy you spent managing the emotional crises of those who never truly valued you. During this time, you are meant to sit on the throne alone and recalibrate your frequency. What do you truly desire when you are not performing for an audience? What does your soul crave when there is no one left to please, protect, or impress? The Saturnian restructuring of the solar ego. To understand this on a structural level, we must look at how the Sun, your ruling luminary, interacts with the heavier, more karmic planetary energies like Saturn and Pluto. While Leo is a sign of fixed fire, passionate, enduring, and radiant, Saturn represents boundaries, time, and karma. What you are experiencing right now is deeply Saturnian. The universe is applying the stern, uncompromising energy of Saturn to your solar ego. And Saturn acts as the great auditor of the zodiac. It walks through your life, knocking on the pillars of your relationships, your career, and your belief systems. If a pillar is hollow, if a relationship was built on convenience, codependency, or hidden agendas, Saturn shatters it. You cannot rebuild your empire on rotten foundations. The crown you are preparing to wear is heavy. It requires a structural integrity that your past relationships simply could not support. The people who have been removed from your life were operating on a lower timeline. They were comfortable with the version of you that stayed small, the version that compromised, the version that dimmed its light to make them comfortable. They cannot survive in the rarefied air of your new altitude. And more importantly, you can no longer afford the energetic cost of carrying them up the mountain. Have you considered the possibility that the grief you feel over these losses is not actually mourning the person, but mourning the potential you saw in them? Leos are visionaries of the heart. You fall in love with what a person could be rather than what they are. The cosmic severance forces you to grieve the illusion, which is the final step before embracing absolute clarity. The trap of the hardened heart and the architecture of discernment. Welcome to the third phase of our journey. As we navigate the aftermath of the cosmic severance and sit within the fertile emptiness of the void, a critical crossroad emerges for the Leo archetype. As an analytical mind synthesizing these ancient systems, I observe a distinct and a recurring pattern in the astrological data, the post-betrayal divergence. When your trust has been fractured and the universe has forcibly emptied your throne room, the natural defense mechanism of the ego is to build a fortress. You might think, if my generosity led to exploitation, I will simply stop giving. If my warmth attracted parasites, I will become ice. This is the trap of the hardened heart. In Eastern esoteric traditions, the heart center is known as Anahata, symbolized by a 12-petaled lotus. When Anahata is balanced, it emits unconditional love and spiritual courage. However, when it is traumatized, the lotus closes. A closed heart in a Leo is a tragedy of cosmic proportions. The sun cannot decide to stop shining simply because some planets are uninhabitable. To do so would be to deny its very nature. It's if you allow the betrayals of lower vibrational individuals to extinguish your warmth, they have won. They have not only stolen your energy, they have stolen your essence. The goal of this cosmic purge is not to make you cynical, cold, or endlessly suspicious. It is to upgrade your operating system from naive generosity to sovereign discernment. Discernment is the highest expression of the guarded heart. It is the ability to keep the gates of the kingdom open to the worthy, while maintaining the absolute authority to deny entry to the destructive. Discernment means your love remains unconditional, but your access becomes highly conditional. You learn to observe actions over time rather than falling in love with immediate potential. It's you begin to understand that you can radiate warmth onto the world without inviting the entire world to sit at your dining table. Reconstructing the solar court. The alchemy of resonance. As the dust settles from the universe's intervention, you will eventually be tasked with rebuilding your court. But this time, the architecture will be fundamentally different. In the past, your connections might have been formed through proximity, shared trauma, or your subconscious desire to heal broken people. The evolved Leo sovereign builds their court through the principle of vibrational resonance. Consider the Hermetic axiom, as above, so below, as within, so without. As you have purged your own internal shadows and accepted the weight of your crown, your external reality must mirror this new, elevated frequency, and you will begin to attract a different archetype of companion. The catalysts, individuals who challenge your intellect and spirit, encouraging your growth rather than feeding your ego. They do not need your light to survive, they have their own, and together you create a binary star system. The mirrors of integrity, people whose actions consistently align with their words. They offer you the profound safety of predictability, allowing your nervous system to finally rest. The co-creators, allies who respect your sovereignty and possess their own. They do not want to drain your kingdom, they want to establish trade routes between your empire and theirs. Notice how these new archetypes interact with you. There is no urgency, there is no frantic demand for your attention. There is only a steady or calm exchange of mutual respect. This is the hallmark of a karmically aligned connection. The manifestation of the solar logos. When you successfully navigate the severance, endure the void, and rebuild through discernment, you achieve the ultimate manifestation of your zodiacal blueprint. You move from operating out of the solar ego, which demands validation and fears irrelevance, to the solar logos. In Stoic philosophy and early Hellenistic thought, the logos is the divine animating principle of the universe. It is the ultimate truth and order. For a Leo, embodying the solar logos means your very existence becomes a stabilizing force in the world. You no longer need to perform your power. Your power is simply a byproduct of your authenticity. You wear the crown not as a symbol of superiority over others, but as a symbol of absolute mastery over yourself. The universe removed them, Leo, so you could finally see the throne was always meant for you alone. The clearing was not a punishment, it was your coronation. The alchemy of the strength archetype. Taming the inner kingdom. Welcome to the final phase of our exploration. As we synthesize the profound cosmic shifts occurring within the Leo archetype, we must look to another esoteric system that perfectly mirrors this evolutionary leap, the tarot. In the major arcana of the tarot, the card unequivocally bound to the astrological sign of Leo is strength, often numbered 8 or 11, depending on the tradition. What is profoundly revealing about the imagery of this card is that it does not depict a warrior swinging a sword, nor a king sitting rigidly upon a golden throne. Instead, it universally portrays a serene figure, often a woman, gently holding the jaws of a fearsome lion. She subdues the beast not with physical force, violence, or loud demands, but with quiet, absolute spiritual authority. This, dear Leo, is the ultimate metaphor for the era you are entering. The beast represents the lower frequencies of your own ego, the desperate need for external validation, the fear of abandonment, the dramatic reactions to betrayal, and the urge to fiercely defend a kingdom built on sand. The serene figure represents your higher self, the true sovereign. The universe is removing people from your life to force this integration. When the external noise is silenced, you are left alone with your inner lion. The ultimate test of your cosmic severance is whether you will let the pain of betrayal turn you into a roaring, a wounded beast, or if you will channel the energy of the Strength card, taming your own heart with grace, patience, and profound self-love. When you achieve this internal mastery, your external reality has no choice but to conform. The people who were removed were triggering the beast. The universe is making space for those who will revere the sovereign. The sovereign's final decree: radiance without attachment. As we draw this session to a close, let us reflect on the multidimensional nature of your journey. We have traversed the architecture of your crown, the psychological pain of the solar eclipse caused by energy vampires, the alchemical necessity of betrayal, and the sacred utility of the void. You must begin to view your life not as a series of tragic losses, but as a meticulously curated museum of spiritual artifacts. And every person who has been removed from your exhibit served a purpose. They were the chisel the universe used to carve the intricate details of your sovereignty. You do not mourn the stone that falls away from the sculpture. You marvel at the masterpiece that remains. The highest manifestation of the Leo energy is to shine without attachment to who receives the light. The sun does not look down at the earth and ask for a thank you note for making the flowers bloom. It simply exists in its supreme nature. It radiates because it is radiance. When you reach this state of non-attachment, you become invincible. You will no longer fear who is leaving your life because you know your gravitational pull is perfectly calibrated by cosmic law. Anyone who falls out of your orbit was never meant to witness the golden age of your empire. Have you begun to feel the subtle shift in your own gravity? Are you noticing how the silence that once terrified you is now becoming the very sanctuary where you gather your strength? This is not the end of your story, Leo. It is merely the clearing of the stage. The curtain is about to rise on a life where you do not just wear the crown, you become it.